Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Chess Thoughts. Today, we're diving into something that many of us have felt: the weight of knowing. As we go through life, learning, growing, and expanding our awareness, we start to see the world in more nuanced ways. Greater understanding can bring clarity, but it also brings with it complex questions, doubts, and sometimes even a sense of heaviness. Today, we're going to explore how this weight of knowing can shape our lives, our relationships, and how we see the world, and perhaps why it's still worth it to seek understanding despite the burdens it can bring. Let's start with a paradox. Knowledge brings both light and weight. The more we understand about life, about ourselves, the world, and those around us, the more questions arise. With awareness comes a deeper sensitivity to life's complexity and sometimes the painful realization that things aren't as simple as they seemed before. Think about it. When we learn about history, for example, we don't just learn dates and events. We uncover layers of injustice, mistakes, and suffering. Similarly, as we become more self-aware, we start noticing patterns, insecurities, and biases within ourselves that can be difficult to confront. So, while awareness brings a more profound understanding, it also brings with it an emotional weight that can be hard to carry. It's like once we've opened the door to greater understanding, we can't just close it again. The knowledge stays with us, and we have to decide how we're going to live with it. You've probably heard the phrase, ignorance is bliss. There's a reason it resonates so strongly. Sometimes, not knowing can feel easier. When we don't see the layers of complexity or the darker sides of things, life feels simpler and, in a way, lighter. This isn't to say that ignorance is a better state, but it explains why greater awareness can sometimes feel like a loss. The innocence of seeing things at face value, of not questioning, can feel comforting. But when we start understanding the deeper layers, we lose that simplicity. For example, imagine relationships. At the start, everything feels exciting, and we're often blind to flaws or complexities. But as we get to know the other person more deeply, we see their struggles, their insecurities, and even some of their pain. Greater awareness can bring us closer, but it also opens up a world that isn't as perfect or simple as we may have initially imagined. And that requires us to hold space for both the beautiful and the difficult parts of knowing someone or something deeply. Another aspect of the weight of knowing is that with understanding often comes responsibility. Once we know something, we can't unknow it. Awareness compels us to act, or, at the very least, to question our actions. For example, once we understand the impact of our daily habits on the environment, it becomes harder to ignore the responsibility to make changes. Once we recognize our biases or learn about injustice, we carry the weight of that awareness with us. We become responsible, in a way, for how we respond to what we know. This is true on a personal level, too. Becoming self-aware means we can no longer avoid the areas of our lives where we might be holding ourselves back or treating others poorly. Knowledge forces us to confront those areas, and it often requires us to change. This responsibility can feel like a burden, but it's also a chance for growth. With every new piece of understanding comes a series of questions. It's almost like each answer we uncover opens up a new set of doors, and each door leads to more questions. As a result, awareness can feel like a journey with no clear end. This can be both exhilarating and daunting. For some, it's exciting to explore new depths of understanding. For others, this endless questioning can feel overwhelming. The more we know, the more we see how much we don't know, and that realization alone can be daunting. Think of it this way: gaining knowledge is like climbing a mountain. At each new height, you get a better view of the landscape, but you also see how vast it is. With each step, the horizon expands, and so does your awareness of how far there is still to go. This is what makes knowing so heavy. It's not just the information we gain, but the understanding that there is infinitely more out there, and that we'll never fully reach the end. Given the weight that knowing brings, why do we continue to seek knowledge? Why dive into the complexity of understanding when it can feel burdensome? One reason is that with awareness comes growth. When we understand more about ourselves, we can live more authentically, connect more deeply, and make more meaningful choices. The weight of knowing challenges us, but it also enriches us. It gives us a greater sense of purpose, empathy, and connection with the world around us. Moreover, understanding, even when it's painful, can bring a sense of fulfillment. Knowledge allows us to live with our eyes open, to engage with life fully, even when it's hard. The weight we feel is often a reflection of our depth, of our capacity to hold life's complexities, and that in itself is a form of strength. The key to managing the weight of knowing is balance. It's about learning to hold what we know with a gentle grip, not letting it consume us, but also not running away from it. One way to do this is through self-compassion. We need to give ourselves space to feel the heaviness that knowledge can bring while also finding ways to lighten it. Taking breaks, reflecting, and finding joy in simple moments can help us carry the weight more gracefully. It's also essential to remember that we're not alone in this journey. Sharing our understanding, discussing our insights, and connecting with others who are also navigating the weight of knowing can lighten the load. The experience of knowledge, with all its complexities, becomes more bearable when it's shared. In the end, the weight of knowing is both a challenge and a gift. It asks us to confront reality honestly, to embrace the complex layers of life, and to engage with the world deeply. Though awareness brings with it a heaviness, it also enriches us in ways that ignorance cannot. It allows us to live fully, to love more deeply, and to find meaning in life's journey. The weight of knowing isn't easy to carry, but perhaps it's a sign that we're awake to the world and to ourselves. It's a reminder that we're growing, that we're stretching our minds and hearts, and that we're living with intention. Thank you for joining me in today's reflection on Chess Thoughts. I hope this episode gave you some space to think about the role of knowledge in your own life. If you enjoyed this reflection, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with someone. And just encouraging you to embrace awareness, even when it's heavy, and to find beauty in life's complexities.